I would like to call to order the Tuesday, October 5th, 2021 meeting of the Danville City Council. Madam Clerk, roll call to establish the quorum, please.
Mayor Ricky Williams Jr.
Present.
Alderman Carolyn Wands.
Present.
James Bouchard. Heidi Patel.
Present.
Bob Iverson.
Present.
Brenda Brown.
Present.
Mike O'Kane.
Here.
Mike Poor.
Present.
Rick Streebing. Sherry Pickering.
Here.
Eve Ludwig.
Present.
Tricia Teague.
Present.
Robert Williams.
Present.
Darren York.
Present.
11 present.
11 present. We do have a quorum. At this time, we will have the invocation read by Reverend Franklin Bourne, the pastor of Battle Focus Ministries, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Alderman Teague. Please rise.
Everybody bow your heads. Father, we thank you again for allowing us all to be here. We thank you for the mayor, the council. We thank you for the alderman. We thank you for all those in your presence today. Now, we ask your presence will be here as we discuss major issues and some things that need to be done in the city. Lord, let us all know that, Lord, you want us to continue to love one another and try to help one another wherever we can. Now, Father, we give you praise and glory for what you're getting ready to do in here, and that it will come out, Lord, with everybody happy. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Bourne. If you would like to give us any updates about the church or any activities you have coming up that you'd like the public to be
Yes, I
aware of?
would. Again, we continue to do our food giveaway each month. It will be administered this Thursday at 10 o'clock. If you know anyone that needs bags of food, whether it be frozen or canned goods, we will be passing them out this Thursday. Also on Tuesday, we always praying for you all and your families, the police department, all of Danville we pray for. So we're just looking for God to move in the city.
Amen.
Thank you very much, Pastor Bourne.
Pastor Bourne, can you give everyone the address in case they're not aware?
Oh, yes, I can. The address is 501 Cunningham Avenue out in the Heights.
Okay.
Alderman is Mr. Sterling. Where is it? Yeah, Rick Sterling. He's not here, but it's 501 Cunningham Avenue.
All right, thank you, sir. At this time, you have before you the minutes of the September 21st meeting. Is there a motion to approve those?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. The ayes have it. We do have the minutes from last meeting. Also, you have the agenda for this evening. There is one minor change. If you look at item 11C, it says fiscal year 2021, 2021. Obviously, that should be 2021, 2022. Sorry that we did not catch that. But is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So
moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or debate?
Mayor, I do. On items 11C and F, I don't recall discussions from committees been brought to the council on these two. There's talk, but I don't know of a committee that's, and like I said, I don't recall that on the public works, I'm talking about public service committee last time. I know there's been talk here and there, but before this whole thing brought to the council, and there's some things in there that I think should be discussed before we take it to the council to vote on tonight.
I did speak with Vice Chairman Pickering about that, and she was agreeable with us bringing it to the council. There are a couple of, one of the items is something that's time sensitive, and so that's why we wanted to bring those all to you. 11C is time sensitive, so that's one of the reasons why we needed to bring it to you now instead of bringing it through committee.
What's time sensitive on it? I know this, but I can't, I don't want to approve an agenda that even though but did the committee know what's going on? I know Chairman Pickering may have said so.
In the
but
past, we've always taken it to the chairman for a request if there was something that needed to come that was time sensitive. So that's all that we did, ma'am.
I don't see why.
And that's happened in the past many times.
I know, I understand that, but I think this is something when we're spending money like that, that needs to come to the full council. I mean,
Well,
come
it's-
to the committee. I believe the committee needs to report to the council, Mayor. I'm just, that's something that, I know we've done in the past, but I just think these two need to go to the committee and have the committee discuss it and then come to us.
Well, again, 11C particularly, the other one is not time sensitive. So if that one needed to be removed,
I think,
it would be
I'm asking. if we
acceptable,
would-
although I think that they both should stay there. They're items that we've addressed numerous occasions, and it's past practice that there are occasionally time-sensitive things that we need to bring to the council, directly to the council. The other thing is the committee is just advisory. Whether the committee votes yes, no, or indifferently, it doesn't matter. Everything that voted on in committee goes to council anyways.
I understand,
So-
but we have these committees in place for that reason. I just would like to, if we could remove these two, I'm asking to, I know they're time sensitive, but I think sometimes we push too fast on something. And these two, I think we need to, especially C
C is the
and
50,
F, yes.
C is $50,000 for holiday lights.
I understand. I just
Is
still
this-
think it needs to
Is
come.
there the reason why we're asking for C now is because if we don't place the order now, we will not get the lights in time for Christmas. So, Alderman Brown, are you making a motion to eliminate items 11C and F
Yes, I
from the
am.
agenda? Is there a second to eliminate items 11C and F from the agenda?
I'll second it.
Any discussion or debate on the agenda, on the amendment? Any discussion or debate on the amendment? Again, if we don't have item 11C now, we will not be able to have our Christmas decorations in time.
I have a question concerning actually, and I know this is not about this amendment, but we also, as a committee, did not discuss item G as well. I don't remember seeing that last week.
That was not there either.
Okay.
The reason why that's there is because we're in the midst of negotiations with unions and we want to make the one for general city council for all city employees match whatever we would be voting on for the unions.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Would you like that to be added, to be removed as well?
I just want to make sure that there's ample discussion.
Absolutely. Thanks, Alderman Tika. I appreciate that. It's been moved and seconded that we amend the agenda to remove items 11C and item 11F. Any further discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Wands,
No.
I'm sorry, let me be clear. If you vote no, you are voting to leave the agenda as presented. If you vote yes, then you are voting to remove those two items from the agenda.
No.
Thank you.
Pashard, Patel,
No.
Iverson,
I sympathize with Alderman Brown and sort of speeding things up, but especially the demolitions, we've talked about that off and on for enough time, so I'll have to vote no.
Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Hoare,
No.
Streaming, Pickering,
No.
Ludwig,
No.
Teague,
I sympathize as well. I think we're just gonna have a long meeting. So, no.
Williams,
I would vote yes.
York,
No.
3 yes.
3 yes, the motion fails. You have before you in the agenda for this evening, October 5th, 2021. As presented, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion or debate? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. The ayes have it. At this time, we have an agenda for this evening. Proclamations, item 6A. This is something I'm very proud to share with you. I officially gave this proclamation at their celebration on Saturday, so they already have the actual copy. However, I would like to read it for you this evening. Whereas Olive Branch Lodge number 38 is celebrating its 175th anniversary, and whereas the history of Olive Branch Lodge number 38 has run hand in hand with the history of Danville and Vermillion County for 1 3/4 centuries, And whereas members of Olive Branch Lodge number 38 played integral roles in the early development and success of the city and county, and whereas the first mayor of Danville under the present charter was a past master of Olive Branch Lodge number 38, and whereas members of Olive Branch Lodge number 38 have a long history of civil and community service and leadership that continues to this day, and whereas members of Olive Branch Lodge number 38 continue to inculcate among themselves the Masonic principles of friendship, love, morality, truth, charity, and relief to the benefit of this city and region. Now I therefore, Ricky Williams Jr., Mayor of the City of Danville, do hereby proclaim tomorrow, Wednesday, October 6th, 2021, as Olive Branch Lodge number 38 Day in the City of Danville, and encourage all citizens to join me in recognizing and celebrating them on their 175th year. As you all know, Chairman Poor and Alderman and Chairman Streben are both members of that. Chairman, I don't know if you wish to say anything. We also have members of the lodge who are present. Gentlemen, if either of you all would like to come forward and say anything, we would be happy to receive that at this time. Chairman, maybe you talk while they're on their way
Okay.
out.
For the last 2 weeks, there's been celebrations. Went to Spring Hill Cemetery, recognized some of our oldest members that are there, some of the first masters of the lodge, and it continued into this past weekend. So it's a pretty big achievement when you have an organization that's been around almost as long as the city of Danville itself here in Vermillion County. So we have past master, past commander-in-chief of the Valley of Danville, Jerry Askren's at the podium now.
Mr. Askren is also a former alderman with the City of Danville. When I first started serving, he was on this council.
And we appreciate your service that you've continued to provide for the city, Mayor Williams. It was a great pleasure and an honor we had this past Saturday. The Grand Lodge of Illinois came and celebrated with us and put on a ceremony to help us celebrate 175 years. They did a rededication. And I like to explain to those people that don't understand Masonry, everybody remembers the Flintstones. And Fred and Barney were members of the Loyal Order of Water Buffalo. So think of it this way. The Grand Poobah of the state of Illinois came to Danville with his entourage this past weekend. And it was a thrill to have Mayor Williams with us, and he read his proclamation to us. And so I asked Mike if we could have that read here again in the council chambers, because we were so proud of it. A very nice presentation. We had more of us that were planning on it to come, but once in a while, family issues pop up and some things, and some other guys didn't get to come. Bill Lucas is here with me. A few people around town know Bill. Everybody in town knows Bill.
Yeah, Bill, stand up. Bill sold me my first car in Danville.
Bill is also a past master of our Olive Branch Lodge, and there are other members here in the building. Brother Butler is a member of the Masonic Lodge that meets in that building as well with Corinthian Lodge. And so we're proud to have Masons being very active in our community. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I don't want to take your time because you have a busy 2-page agenda that we saw, but thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be here. One further comment. When we had our history was read, and then when Mayor Williams stepped up, his grand home was built by a past master of Olive Branch Lodge. Very special to have that as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was actually pretty cool. His name was Reason Hooten. Reason and his wife Anna, and I did a history of the home. They had a seminar at the library, so I learned about how you could research your home and find out, what its history was, who built it, who lived there over the years. And unless there were any folks not listed, I could probably tell you most of the people that live there, at least the adults, from 130 years ago to today. So it was pretty cool. But congratulations again, gentlemen, and thank you for your service. We very much appreciate you.
Mayor, they do have a meeting over at the Masonic Temple, so they'll be leaving prior to our meeting being over.
Thanks, Chairman. I appreciate that. Thank you again, gentlemen. I have a host of primarily reappointments, but also appointments for you this evening. If it be the pleasure of the council, what I would rather do is take the reappointments together as one group. So the reappointments under each category together, and then we will take the appointments individually, since those are new people, if that be the pleasure of the council. Would that be acceptable?
Yes.
All right, very good. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to reappoint Dr. Stephen Nacco and George Dowell to the Board of Police and Fire Commissioners for a term of 3 years, to appoint Mr. Sabalik to another 3 years on the Planning and Zoning Commissions, to reappoint to the Danville Public Library Board, Linda Bolton, Mr. Mark Denman, Ms. Mary Reek, all for terms of 3 years, to the David S. Palmer Arena, Mr. Scott Dowers, a renewal for 3 years, to the Vermillion County Emergency Telephone System Board, 911, Ms. Melissa Rome, renewal for 3 years. And also to the Human Relations Commission, Mrs. Marta Espino, renew for 4 years. Alderman Darren York, renew for 4 years. Miss Mary Thompson, renew for 4 years. Miss Barbara McHone, renew for 4 years. Is there a motion to concur with those appointments? Reappointments.
Second.
It's been moved by Alderman Patel and seconded by Vice Mayor Iverson. Any discussion or debate? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. At this time, I would ask for your concurrence with the appointment of Mr. Aaron Trolia to the Planning and Zoning Commission for an appointment of 3 years. As many of you know, Mr. Trolia is a former alderman. Is there a motion to concur with that appointment?
So moved.
It's been moved, and is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or debate? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, thank you for that concurrence. We also have Mr. Lester Potts, one of our own firemen, who I would like to appoint for 4 years to the Human Relations Commission. Mr. Potts has been very active as a firefighter and in our community. Is there a motion to appoint Mr. Potts to a term with 4 years at the Human Relations Commission?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved by Alderman Patel, seconded by Vice Chairman Pickering. Any discussion or debate? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Now, with that, there are still a few appointments that are outstanding and that I will hopefully be bringing to you all within the next month. We have a few appointments to make on the Arena Board, as well as the Housing Authority Board and a few others. So if you know of any good quality individuals who would be willing to serve and you think would be a good fit, please let me know so I can reach out to them. At this time, are there any reports of boards, agencies, or commissions? Okay, seeing none. Items of information, I just want to congratulate again everyone, Ashton Greer and Steve Lane and everyone else who worked so hard to make the Fall Festival such a huge success. I think it was a great time. Everybody was ready to get out again. I also want to thank publicly, because I forgot to do it last time, and shame on me, but our Human Relations Administrator, Sandra Finch, everything that you all saw last week or 2 weeks ago honoring the plaintiffs, she helped coordinate most of that. That says to give honor to whom honor is due. So I would like to honor our Human Relations Administrator, Mrs. Finch, for that and for everything else she does to help the citizens. Yes, Alderman Teague?
Did we omit public comments?
They are number 7. They should be number 7.
Oh, number
Yeah.
7. Okay. I'm sorry.
They're number 7. Yes,
Gotcha.
ma'am.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Alderman Williams.
Yes, Mayor, I would like to commend you and your staff, Sandra Finch and her staff, in presenting the program for the plaintiffs 7 that remarked that September the 21st will now be known as a plaintiff day that changed the automatic form of government. And you've done an excellent job doing that.
Thank you, Alderman Williams. For those of you that are wondering, we forgot to have them put the nameplate on the picture. So Mrs. Finch is taking care of that. And once they are on there, then we will be hanging that just there so that everyone that sits here will see that as a reminder, but also the people that are here, that if something is important to you, that you need to stand up and fight for your rights. So with that said, audience comments, and I do believe we have some folks here who will be doing just that.
Yes, we do, Mayor. Has everyone had a chance to complete a yellow audience comment card who wishes to speak this evening?
Madam Clerk, I apologize. Before I forget, I wanted to give the floor first to Mrs. Odette Watson, the CEO of East Central Illinois Community Action Agency. She has a dynamic new program that I think will be of great help to our people. Mrs. Watson, could you please come to the podium first? I apologize. For those of you who, most of you like me probably know it more as its common name, Community Action.
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Mayor,
Good evening.
Alderwomen, team of City of Danville. Thank you very much for giving me a couple minutes to talk about a new program. If I could, just give one, and if you can pass it down.
Thank
you. And what I have for you is just a brief description of some of the services that Community Action Agency is now hosting. But specifically so that you have the brochure where we are going to be having vaccines. There are going to be 75 Pfizer vaccines that are going to be offered at the office on Friday, October the 15th. And we're looking for community members who may not have been vaccinated that would like to come to Community Action Agency to get that done. We definitely want to bring that to the city's attention. Also, the first vaccine will be offered on October the 15th, but the second vaccine will be offered. If you look on the inside, we have an upcoming community health fair, and second vaccines will be offered there. In addition to the health fair, we'll also provide Thanksgiving food baskets. We estimate that we will have 100 baskets available for families to help them out with the Thanksgiving holiday. So my main purpose of being here is to talk about our ES Furnace Pilot Program. It is a program that potentially, at this moment with our budget, help 32 families with furnace repairs or furnace replacement up to $4,000. We are working with specific contracted businesses within Danville, and individuals who are interested would need to contact Community Action Agency, whether in Danville, Fort, or Iroquois County, and we would have to ensure that individuals are income eligible. If they're income eligible, they'll be given a voucher for up to $4,000. We have 2 vendors that are going to be working with us, as listed in the article that you see on page 3 of the newsletter. We're working now with Wright's Heating and Air Conditioning, and we're also working with Blackie's. So basically how it works is that the individual will come into the office, and we would take income eligibility information on them. We look for 30 days income, verification of family size, and if the family's income eligible and in need of furnace repair or furnace replacement, we'd give them a voucher. They would choose which vendor they want to work with, and then we would schedule an assessment of the furnace and make an assessment whether or not the furnace needs to be replaced or if the furnace just needs to be repaired. So each family will be allotted $4,000. If the furnace repair exceeds $4,000, then we try to get another quote with another vendor to see if we can work within there. And if that does not work, then unfortunately, beyond $4,000, the family would have to make arrangements with the vendor. But we do believe that majority of our customers should be able to get things done within $4,000. But we just wanted to bring that to your attention because we know that as councilmen, you know, you have the eyes and the ears of your constituents. And if someone comes to you, I want you to be aware of what's available at Community Action Agency, that we're more than willing to help families that are in need. Thank you very much.
Mrs. Watson, I just want to say thank you very much for everything that you do, both seen and unseen through Community Action and also
Amen.
as an individual and your family. We very much appreciate it. If more citizens were like you, we would be a hopping place. So
All
thank
right.
you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Williams, and everyone have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you. You do as well.
First, I have Susan Richter from the Vermillion County Museum regarding Lafayette Street.
I do have a map here if you'd like to. Thank you. Mayor Williams and council members and other city employees, I just came to speak to you tonight about a problem that,
Director, I apologize. Could you lower your microphone a little bit
a
more?
little more.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am. There you
great.
go. Perfect.
Well,
Thank you.
this might be
You're more than 6 feet away from anyone.
Okay.
You're welcome to take
Be
it
a lot
off as
easier.
well.
I want to thank you for being able to speak with you tonight. It's been several years since I've had the opportunity to talk to the council, and I'm very glad to be here. I am the director of the Vermillion County Museum, and I'm here with some of my supporting board members tonight. And we've always had a good working relationship with the city of Danville, and we appreciate that very much. This has been for over half a century in the life of the museum here in Danville. And I've been involved for 45 of those years myself. So we really appreciate that relationship. Here to express our concern over the plan being considered with relationship to the Carl development to the west of us to make the one block of Lafayette Street adjacent to the county museum one way and to narrow it for the last 60 feet. This would force all museum visitors to come to the museum off Gilbert Street. The purpose of the change, as I was informed, was to prevent the new Carl complex from using Gilbert as an exit of people leaving their Robinson Street parking lot. In meeting with Carl officials last week, I was informed by them that they have designed their exit and offset it in such a way that people will not be leaving their parking lot and being able to go east on Lafayette Street. There will be no impact on Lafayette Street traffic, much more than what we have now with the museum and the bank. And they said that they had no problem with Lafayette Street remaining two-way as it is now for the full portion of the street. I am aware that Carl and IDOT did a study approximately 2 years ago. And at that time, the changes that were proposed for Lafayette Street were according to that report, but they said this was a 22-year projection report made with the assumption that Carl traffic would be possibly exiting onto Lafayette Street. The Carl representative that things change, studies change, and so possible outcomes are outdated now. We've met with Carl numerous times and the city, and Carl agrees that has been in agreement with us from the very beginning that Robinson Street would remain an ingress and an egress to the museum. Carl's been excellent to work with through the project, and by designing their parking lot with the offset, they've ensured that this won't happen. It's well known that when Logan closes, the traffic on Gilbert Street will increase. At the present time, even, making a left turn from Gilbert, coming from the south, to enter the museum by Lafayette Street is very challenging. It's going to become more of a challenge when Logan's closed. And this in itself presents a safety issue for people coming to the museum. Most of the people who come to the museum from the south use Robinson Street and then turn on to Lafayette. This is because this is the way we direct them to come for safety reasons. Many of these are elderly people. Making a few feet of Lafayette Street one way will deny them the access from that way. Narrowing Lafayette will also negatively affect bus traffic to the museum. It's been pointed out that buses may have to back up and pull forward several times to work their way around the obstacle if the street is narrowed. The museum does have many school tours during a normal year. They're curtailed now somewhat through COVID, but we assume this will pick back up again, and we do service between 3,000 and 5,000 Vermillion County students a year. We would like to have the city consider leaving Lafayette as it is now. I'd be willing to attend the meeting of the Public Works Committee next week to discuss Lafayette Street and to put our final situation then before the city council for a vote. There's going to be no change in traffic numbers from what we know on Lafayette Street. So we really hope that you'll consider not narrowing the street, keep it open to two-way, keep it at its present, site the way it is now. So if there's any questions, if not, I thank all of you for letting us come. We will be attending the meeting next Tuesday to present the information that we've collected. And as a thank you to all of you for being patient listeners, we invite all of you to tour the museum at your leisure. So I'll pass these around. And I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Richter. We appreciate your comments. I would make a few comments to add as well. First of all, we want to make sure that we are good partners with the museum because, as you all know, we just read the proclamation for the Olive Branch Lodge. History is important to us, and we want to make sure that we honor and protect our history. We just honored the 7 plaintiffs recently because we want to make sure that we honor and protect our history. I'll pass these along in a moment, if I may. So we want to make sure that we protect that. My understanding from the museum all along were that you've had 2 primary concerns, and one was that buses would be able to access the property and that they would be able to leave onto Robinson Street from Lafayette. So we wanted to make sure that we narrowed that. It was also understanding that you wanted to make sure that you would be able to have access to parking, which Carl, I know, has partnered with you guys on that. So I from my point of view, originally what was proposed was a hammerhead. For those of you who aren't familiar with the term, it's like basically a large turnaround so that there would have been no access onto Robinson Street because of the traffic patterns proposed and seen by IDOT. So we worked really hard. We pressed back against that. Sam and our engineering team said, listen, what else can we do to look at and make sure that we can both provide them the things that they've requested and also make sure that we keep people safe? And that's how they came up with the current design. I'll be honest, much like Carl, it doesn't matter to me what the road looks like as long as it's safe for everyone. That's the most important thing. And unfortunately, the Illinois Department of Transportation, they wanted something that was even more restrictive until we fought and came up with this. So I think the biggest thing that we would have to do right now is to try to work with the Department of Transportation. Because Gilbert Street is Route 1 and because it's a public road, it's a state road, we don't have control or authority on how traffic interacts with that road. So we would be happy to meet with you. I think what would be good, Mrs. Richter, if we met with you, maybe some of your board members, a representative or 2 from IDOT that actually makes the decisions, because we don't, as well as my engineering team. And what we'll do is I'll have Mr. Cole reach out to you so that we can organize that meeting.
We'd still like to talk to the Public Works Committee.
Oh, no, you can come and talk anytime, but I'm just saying we have to be able to, the city council will not ultimately decide what happens here. IDOT will ultimately decide what happens here in order for access. So I think while we will definitely be glad to speak with you and talk about everything that you want to say to the public, we also need to meet with the people who will actually make the decision.
Okay, the only question I have is Robinson and Lafayette is not a state route. Only Gilbert and Lafayette is. And that is not going to be impacted with traffic leaving.
Again, because there's access to Gilbert Street from this area, we have to work with them in connection. So we will speak with them and see what they say.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Next, I have Ed Butler with the Danville NAACP. He would like to thank the mayor and would like to talk about pandemic information.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Monson. Before my clock start, I'd like to thank and congratulate all the appointees that has been reappointed there within our city, and to my longtime friend Sandra. So we grew up together, and way on back in the neighborhood. Way on back in yeah, we act like that all the time, and so we about like brothers and sisters there, and also there to my brothers, my Masonic brothers. So we have a good time in the Masonic family, and I think it's been maybe about 10 or 15 years ago when we signed a proclamation through the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge and the Ancient Accepted Masons, that we signed a proclamation that we will combine ourselves together, and we will honor each other at each other's meetings. And so that's what we do, and that's all about the brotherhood of masonry. My pandemic navigators, they have some information that they have passed out already, and I thank them for that. And I'd just like to say to our mayor and our aldermen and city officials that I thank you for this opportunity to introduce to you my pandemic health navigators, my supervisor, and my financial workers or my contractors. Those of you that have not met my navigators and my staff, here they are. So we have one that so she broke her knee, and so she couldn't be with us, and I also have another Salesforce director that that she gives the orders when the health department take and issue resource requests. They inform us that we have some people that have COVID, and when the health department send in the request, but then we as navigators, we have our foot to the ground, going to the home. We go to the grocery stores. We go to the prescription shop. We take them to get their shots. So we just take care of them while they are in quarantine. And that's what we do. I have come to you to inform you that we are to serve our Danville, Vermillion County. We have serviced over 1,500 families since March of 2021, and we are still servicing the people. We are the only ones that go door to door, informing people of the COVID-19 as well as the vaccine and vaccination. We have had clinics and events to educate and let the people know that the vaccine is safe to get the shot. Our program ends October the 31st, and before I go any further, would like to thank the mayor. We had an event on last Saturday, and I thank you, Mr. Mayor, for being there to speak on behalf of the city about to speak on about the pandemic, as well as it's important to get the vaccine, and we all have to kind of sympathize with one another. So we have had death in the families because of the pandemic of this terrible COVID. People said it is a hoax, and it's over 700,000 people that lost their lives. And if it's not a pandemic, well, do you know what it is? What is it? That we're dealing with. So we're losing our loved ones. And I thank Bob Iverson and Miss Carolyn, Wands for coming to be with us. And I think you got your booster. All right. So kudos to you. On getting that booster there. When it come out with the Moderna, I'm going to get mine too. Like I say, our program ends, October the 31st, and we're seeking funds to keep the mission going, because there are some people that are stubborn and just won't get it. So we are there to encourage them to get the vaccine. On October the 30th, we are planning another event with more vaccine and hand out backpacks and school supplies. And so we're planning on having the vaccine there as well. Yes, we cannot win them all, but we are trying to get 85 to 90% of our people vaccinated. Just think, if we got 85 to 90% of the people vaccinated, and just think how safe that we can just take off these masks and hug each other and everything. I miss all that. Yeah, don't we, Sherry? Yeah, we miss all that hugging and greeting each other. And Brenda there, that's what we do. And so we can't do it now. And we have a lot of our adults is getting the shots, but guess who the virus is jumping on now? It's jumping on our young kids. So it's very important that we as adults, get vaccinated. And so that's what my pandemic navigators, notice we have this event coming on the 30th, and they so graciously taking money out of their pocket so that during our event, so we're going to be giving out $25 gift cards at Walmart. We're going to be giving out Kiera's creative creation things out, to encourage the people to come to be a part of our event. We would like for this mayor and the council to consider helping to fund our program for another year. You have with you a brochure of a breakdown of what the funding is all about. Yeah, sure, I know that we could give a lot of money to our mental health, but you know how long mental health has been around in this nation? And we still fighting. We can give billions and billions of dollars toward mental health, and that is great. If I had $1 million, I'd give it too, to help with mental health. And it's going to always be around. But this pandemic, if we really get out and educate the people and they take and get the vaccine, just think how quick that we can get rid of this rascal that's killing our loved ones and destroying this nation, and it being so politicized to the fact that people on Facebook and all this jive there, is discouraging. I saw on the news today there with the Republican Party that they getting on, I forget his name, they got on him today and booed him. And he was trying to encourage his Republican Party to get the vaccine. So we need to keep our foot to the ground. But this pandemic, if we get, like I say, all the people vaccinated so we can combat this vaccine. So I thank each and every one of you for this opportunity, Mr. Mayor, as well as the council. And we hope and pray that you will consider this pandemic health navigating program to be a part of your budget. Thank you and have a nice, safe evening.
Butler, before you leave,
Yes.
I'd like to commend the NAACP for their efforts in this fight against the pandemic.
Yes, sir.
And we really appreciate, the efforts you put out. We'd also like for your committee back here to introduce themselves so we can know who they are.
Oh, okay.
Pastor Michael Hall. Pastor Kreider.
Jasmine Gonzalez, Miriam McCullough.
Thank you.
And, we also have a Diana Fraser Brenneman. So she is the one that broke her knee, and she's still working via Zoom and contacting people. And then we also have Latricia Caston. She is our Salesforce coordinator, and she coordinating the stuff from the health department and give these navigators to work, and they have to get on out there and go get the groceries and pick up the medicine and and all that stuff. And we also have Gail Brandon, so she is our financial person. Any money that goes out and come in, she controls us.
Yeah. I'd like for the council to give these people a hand.
And I'd like to say that last, and I'm through, is that we find in this nation and in our communities about, we have all white or we have all black, panel. I thank God for the vision that he has given me, that I have a diverse panel and of women's and preachers and men's and Latinos, Mexicans, and whites that's conducting and handling this program. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council this evening? All right, thank you. Seeing none, we do not have any, we have no zoning petitions this evening. However, you have before you the payrolls of September 24th and September 28th, 2021. Is there a motion to approve those?
So moved. So moved.
It's been moved and it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or debate?
I'm sorry,
call.
Mayor, who seconded them?
It was moved by Alderman Patel, seconded by Alderman Pickering.
Thank you.
Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Pritchard, Patel,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Poor,
Yes.
Streebing, Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
11 yes.
11 yes, the motion carries. You also have before you item 10, the vouchers payable. We have vouchers for September 28th as well as October 5th, as well as special runs from for September 24th and 28th. Is there a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or debate?
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
remind me what this $19,956 is. TIF to Vermillion County, what do you call it? Trustees.
That's to purchase what we commonly referred to as the Hernandez properties over on Hazel Street that adjoin the First Farmers Bank property.
Yeah, well, I know what, okay. Just, my memories is telling me that years ago, when we were tearing some stuff down, we were buying some of that property from Matt Long. That's not the same property.
No, this is not the same property. This is property that's owned by Mrs. I can't recall her first name. I want to say maybe Brenda Hernandez.
Is this the gal that owned the Mexican joint around the corner?
Not to my knowledge, but
Okay.
that could be the case.
Okay.
Alderman O'Kane, what page is that on?
7.
7 and 8 of 38.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's-
thank you.
Any further discussion or
They're all-
debate?
They're all three empty lots, right?
Yes, sir. That's
Okay.
correct. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Patel,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Poor,
Yes.
Streebing, Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
11 yes.
11 yes, the motion carries. At this time, we will receive our Public Services Committee report. Vice Chairman Pickering.
Yes. 11A is a resolution authorizing budget amendment to the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget. At this time, I will make a motion to dispense with the reading and ask for their approval. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate?
Quick question.
Vice Chairman.
Like the $225 or $225,000 stuff, how much of an increase is this over what we expected? Just a rough idea. Is it 20%, 40%?
I would say 40%. It's extremely significant. We're happy
Seems
to
like a
see
lot
the
of
hotel
money.
motel revenue is much higher than projected. There was a lot of uncertainty around this specific revenue stream with
And-
COVID last year when we were budgeting.
And when we did the
so-
budget last year, you remember how much you lowered it, expecting nothing?
I can look it up and not guess if you give me 25 seconds.
Okay, it's not real important. I
$25.
I didn't know if that puts us back to a record yearly ideas that we've had in the past, or if this is even more than in past years.
We originally budgeted 375,000 and we're adding an additional 225. Great news.
Good for us.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Thankfully, Vice Chairman, things, businesses here seem to be recovering pretty well. Any further discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Iverson,
Yes.
Alderman Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Poor,
Yes.
Streebing, Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Patel,
Yes.
11 yes.
11 yes, the motion carries.
11B is a resolution authorizing budget amendment to the Harrison Park Department 400 fiscal year 2021, 2022 budget. At this time, I will make a motion to dispense with the reading and ask for their approval. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Poor,
Yes.
Streebing, Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard, Patel,
Yes.
Iverson.
Yes.
11 yes.
11 yes, the motion carries.
11C is a resolution authorizing the budget amendment to fiscal year 2021, 2022 Public Affairs Department 103 budget.
Chairman, do you move to dispense?
Oh,
with-
I'm sorry. At this time, I make a motion to dispense with the reading and ask for their approval. Is there a second? I'm sorry.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Before we get started with debate, Administrator Greer, could you please come forward and kind of tell everyone what we're hoping to accomplish here and a little bit about the investment?
Sure. Do you want me to come up to the podium or just speak from here?
Actually, can you all hear okay there?
Yeah, is
Okay,
this fine?
That's fine, yes.
Okay, first I want to apologize for the urgency of this and the inability to bring it to you prior to this meeting. However, we've had a Christmas committee that's kind of been dreaming up and planning what we could do for Christmas this year for the city. And as we were researching the supplies that we would need to decorate the downtown district, it became very clear that there is a like a back order due to COVID. And so the production timeline for Christmas supplies is 45 to 60 days. So that is the reason for the urgency.
Administrator, could you tell us a little bit more about it, about the lights, where they're coming from, that kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So the company that we have chosen to work with is Temple Display. The reason that we are working with Temple is because they are an Illinois company. Everything that they produce is made here in the United States. And also all of their decorations and supplies are produced for cities specifically. So they're commercial supplies and they also have a 6-year warranty. So this would not be just an investment for this year's Christmas, it would be an investment for years to come for downtown Danville.
Yes, and again, I don't like to bring things to you all last minute, but unfortunately, we're up against a deadline here, and that's the only reason that we're bringing it, Chairman. Oh, yes,
Mayor, may I
Alderman
speak to
Brown.
this?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd first like to address Ms. Grizz, nothing against what you're doing, and I don't want anyone to think that I'm against new Christmas lights or anything like that. That's not my point. My point is, and I understand you're new to your position and this just
Absolutely.
now came up.
Yes.
But if we'd have to use what we had before, and then still, it's good to have these for the future and putting the money in that. But
Can I?
sometimes, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so a lot of the supplies, sorry, I can't see you. Let me move over here. The supplies that we had previously, so the cascading lights and many of the strands of lights that we have in storage no longer work. And so in the past, last year, several items were purchased from our local department stores, but because they're not commercial items, they're not lasting out in the weather for long amounts of time. So we actually have to purchase decorations no matter what this year. And so if we purchase decorations that are not commercial, there's a good chance that will be wasted money because the same thing will happen. And so waiting may actually end up costing us in the long run, if that makes sense.
I understand, and I kind of figured that, but it's just the idea, I know sometimes we go ahead and, like you said, Mayor, in the past, we go ahead, if it's the last minute, we bring it up to the full council, but I just think, in my thinking, that Christmas decorations, if we could have, I know if we got them local, they probably wouldn't last as long, but if we could do that to go ahead and this year and then put this in the budget for next year, that's just my thinking. And I just think that we continue to go ahead and pass these things and no discussion. Because when I saw it, I said, well, how come none of this has ever been brought up to us? And I know that Ms. Greer is new and probably something that she wants to do. And I think it's great that we do these things, but I think we have to be mindful of these things. So yes, that's why I had questions on it.
Sure.
And I understand that you have to hurry and get these things, but I
Right.
just think we need to just be mindful of it.
Sure. Well, really, it's nothing to do with the newness of Miss Greer. This is the time of year, every year, that we start preparing for Christmas. And when we discovered that a lot of the things that we have didn't work, and a lot reason they didn't work is because they were not of a commercial grade, then that's why we look for a better option, because we want to be good steward of taxpayer dollars. And we figured that having something that will last is better than going out and spending $10,000 or $15,000 on things that may not work next year. So, yes, Vice Chairman.
Well, one, I choked at $50,000. It sounds like a lot of money, especially when next month, all of us are gonna get shot when they get their new sewer bills and stuff. And I know it's not the same money, but we're gonna catch it for the higher sewer bills coming out. Number two, all coming out of public affairs. Why isn't downtown Danville paying any of it?
I couldn't tell you why, except that their budget doesn't a lot for this. I mean, if we asked them to be a partner and to help pay for it, I'm sure that they would. In the past, they have given us money towards decorations, so I'm sure that we could ask them for some. But the bottom line is, this is something that's for, although it's downtown, it's something that's for the entire community.
And how much more is it gonna cost us in city labor to put this stuff up and take it down and store it and stuff? It's just a lot of money thrown at us in a big hurry. No discussion or anything else.
Well, what I would say to you is that I don't know about you, but I get tons of complaints every year about Christmas decorations and how there aren't enough. People say to me, "Well, Mayor, I can't believe you're such a Grinch. Hoopston looks better than Danville. Westville looks better than Danville, and you're 6 times bigger than all, or more bigger than all of those places." And so what I wanted to do is to accomplish something that, like Ms. Greer said, would be a long-term investment, but also something that people could be proud of. I don't want to get into too many exact specifics, because I hope that this will be an amazing surprise for the people of Danville. But let's just say minimally cascading lights are coming back on all of our mature trees if this passes. So I just feel like, we talk a lot about people and what they deserve. To me, I think that that's something that helps lift everybody's spirits, no matter what their beliefs are, and that it would be good for the community. Yes,
Well-
Vice Chairman Pickering.
And I also like the idea that we have a 6-year warranty. That means a lot.
Yes, Alderman Ludwig.
What had we spent last year on replacement lights locally?
We spent a total of about $3,200 last year. And those were just household lights. And the reason we did that is because we didn't have anything working and we wanted to do something. And I don't know if you drove downtown last year, but for the very little money we had, it was pretty spectacular. And I would also like to add to Alderman O'Kane's question, how much more for labor? No more to install the good stuff than it was to install what we installed last year.
Yes, Alderman Teague.
And was the expenditure last year a typical expenditure year over year?
Yeah, I couldn't answer that, man, because
Yeah,
we didn't
I
really
figured-
do it
I
last
figured
year.
Ashlyn probably was going to answer that.
I can do in-depth research and give you exact numbers year over year, but I would say that it's probably very inconsistent year over year based on one year we would make an investment, it would last a few years, maybe do a few replacement a few years down the road, get us somewhere, and then another big investment. So I would say that it's very inconsistent currently, whereas something like this, we'd get a good start and then could budget more steadily for upkeep on our investment.
And so if last year was inconsistent and it was lower than the investment years, what would we have spent in the years that we invested more?
I can research that and I can
Good.
send that.
So this will be only Comptroller Massey's second Christmas with us. So, but I can give you historical context. I mean, I would say in past, we've spent as much as $12,000 or $15,000 in a year, $8,000 in a year, sometimes $3,000 or $4,000. Alderman Teague, just as she said, it's varied greatly. Yes, Alderman Ludwig.
What is the anticipated life expectancy of these industrial lights and decor? I mean, I know we have the 6-year warranty, but would you expect them to last 10 years, or what's the expectation of something industrial?
To be honest, I don't know the answer to that. In speaking with Temple Display and other commercial providers, these are the people in the United States that provide Christmas decorations for cities all over, and so they are built for commercial use. But I mean, as far as exactly how many years they last, I don't know. I do know that one of the trees that we're ordering or hoping to order is actually designed so that every year, if you want to make it bigger, you can just add additional panels. And the guy that was talking to me about it was sharing that they have cities that have had these trees for decades, and they build and build and build upon them. So like if one panel burns out, you can just replace that panel. You don't have to replace the whole tree. So they're designed for the longevity of a city using them.
Alderman Ludwig, did you have any further questions?
No, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Teague, did you have anything else?
No.
Okay. Any further, just Alderman Wands? Alderman, could you please lower your mic so
Yes.
we can?
Sorry. Just quick round figuring, that over 6 years, it's guaranteed for 6 years, warranted for 6 years. That's about 8,000 a year. And if I remember past years, we have spent that, if not more, maybe not last year, but I remember several years ago, because she was rented from me, that she had spent quite a bit more than that. So, an investment of 8,000 a year, when you break it down like that, doesn't sound nearly as much as the 50 at the beginning. So I think with the warranty that it is a reasonable amount, and then build upon it from there.
I do want to clarify that the warranty is on every item except for the cascading lights. So every item that you saw on the invoice, the top, several items, those have a 6-year warranty. Any lights that are on strands are not warranted. So that one specific item is not a warranted item. I just want to make sure everybody is very informed on that.
Which item is that? I'm sorry.
The cascading lights, they're the tube lights at the bottom.
Oh, okay, the tubes, gotcha.
Yes,
So then that is about $10,000.
that is correct. Those lights have a 1-year warranty, so they guarantee a year. Everything else, all the large LED displays, are the 6-year warranty.
Any further discussion or debate? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Alderman O'Kane,
Scrooge is here. No.
Poor,
Yes.
Streebing, Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
No.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard, Patel,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
8 yes.
You skipped
You
Brown?
missed,
You didn't
you
get
missed
everybody.
Alderman Brown.
Oh, I apologize. Alderman Brown,
No.
8 yes, the motion carries.
11D, Mayor, I will turn that over to you.
Yes, ma'am. 11D is an ordinance approving a waiver for the sale of property to a council member. I would ask to dispense with the reading and for a motion to dispense with the reading and for its approval.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. I just want to be clear with the public. As you all know, we have a side lot sale program in places where we've demolished houses. If there's an empty lot, we offer them to the neighbors next door. In this instance, the neighbor next door that has adjoining property happens to be one of our own, Vice Chairman Pickering. Out of abundance of transparency and to make sure that we're in compliance with all of our statutes, we wanted to make sure that we brought that to the public made that the public aware of that, and that we voted on it as a council. Is there any discussion or debate? Yes, Alderman Teague.
For the purposes of transparency only, this doesn't state the amount of consideration, which I know is also would be public record, but I just wanted it for the council to be abundantly transparent
Sure.
to say the amount of consideration.
It would be $99, the same as our other side lots. Thank you. Any further discussion or debate?
I would think Alderman Pickering is exactly the kind of person we want to pick up these lots.
If anyone saw her and Mr. P's light display last year, absolutely. And the way they
Absolutely.
keep their yard, it's
Yeah,
immaculate.
How many more leaves you gonna have?
Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Chairman Poor,
Yes.
Streaming, Pickering,
Abstain.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague. Yes. Williams.
Yes.
York.
Yes.
Wands.
Yes.
Bouchard, Patel,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane.
Yes.
10 yes.
10 yes, the motion carries.
11E is an ordinance amending Chapter 34 of the City Code pertaining to the Danville Police Department. At this time, I make a motion to dispense with the reading and ask for their approval. Is there a second?
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate?
Yes,
Vice
could,
Chairman. Oh, go
excuse
ahead.
me.
Yes, Alderman Williams.
could we have Chief Yates explain to us what that is pertaining to?
Forgot about that. Chapter 34 describes the rank structure of the Danville Police Department. Currently, it's Chief of Police, Commander, Sergeant. And what that's doing is, as we've spoken before at the other meetings, is it'll go from Chief, Deputy Chief, Lieutenant, eliminate the Commander rank, and Sergeant.
Alderman Williams, did you have any further questions?
No, thank you.
Yes, sir. Vice
That's
Chairman?
basically what I was gonna ask.
Yes, sir.
Just the public.
All right. Any further discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
Vice Chairman Pickering,
Yes.
Alderman Ludwig.
Yes.
Teague. Yes. Williams.
Yes.
York.
Yes.
Wands.
Yes.
Bouchard, Patel,
Yes.
Iverson.
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane.
Yes.
Poor,
Yes.
Streaming. 11 yes.
11 yes, the motion carries.
11F is an ordinance amendment to the financial policy to address blight reduction. At this time, I make a motion to dispense with the reading and ask for their approval. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Before we get started, I want to tell you what we're doing and why we're doing it. The way the financial policy is written currently, it requires at the end of each fiscal year that you look at your reserve. It requires that we have a minimum of $1.2 million in our reserve. And if not, that we come up with a plan on how we should get that 1.2. If you'll recall, when we took over, there were only $300,000 in the reserve. And as you know, thanks be to the good stewardship of you all and of our department and division heads and everyone that works for the city of Danville, it's substantially more than that. We project this year that we should end with a little bit more than $9 million in reserves. So it says after that $1.2 million of the next 400,000, 60% is to go to the fire pension. So $240,000 would go to the fire pension, and then 40% would go to the police pension. So $160,000. It says after that everything should go to Division 107. 107 is with which we do streets, our sidewalks, primarily streets, sidewalks, and somewhat our bridges occasionally. So as you all know, one of the reasons we've been working hard to have a reserve is because of Brazee Tower. As a result of the decrepit state of it, it's very unsafe. And as such, we have a lane of a state highway blocked and have had it blocked for over 2 years now. We are finally at a stage where I think we're going to hopefully be able to have some remedy. So it's important that we set aside money to deal with this and other blighted structures that we have in the downtown area. So that is why we've come to you today to ask to set this money aside. I can also just be abundantly transparent in that because we had a larger reserve, in union conversations and negotiations, they're starting to ask for that money. Well, we didn't save it just to make our employees richer. We saved that money to make the lives of all of the people of Danville better. And as we know, this is a major safety issue for the entire community, for anyone that lives here and for those who visit. So that is why we have brought this before you for consideration. This is something that actually should have probably been done in May or June. Any discussion or debate? Alderman Williams.
Just questions. You mentioned that the building was blocking a state highway as a result of its condition. Can we look to the state to give us any assistance in this?
We have tried that, Alderman. We've met with, we've inquired with the governor. We've also met with our state senator as well as our state representative. And as of yet, no, there is not any money forthcoming for this project.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Alderman Teague.
Understanding that what you brought up was about Breezy Tower, but there actually, is it 5 properties in this?
I'm sorry.
You were going to say, go ahead.
No, ma'am. I think you were going to ask me, what are they and why do you have all of these things on here? The second property is the Courthouse Annex. We will need to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the county to do that. They do intend to also participate in that demolition because it's their building. So what will happen is it's cheaper to demolish both structures at one time than it is if we were to try to do both of them separately. So what will happen is we'll have to enter an agreement where they pay their portion and we pay the portion for Brazil. So that's why those two are there. Then we also have 2 properties downtown that we own and have owned maybe since since before I was a councilman. 129 and 129.5 Vermillion. They're just to the north of DC Fitness downtown. And if you were to peer into the windows, literally the floors are almost completely gone because they've rotted out from the water and residue that was coming into the building. So those are something that we have to get done at some point. And then from there, we're in the process of working with the EPA on the old dry cleaners. That has unfortunately been found to be filled with contaminants recently. So we still the outcome there before we would be able to take any action. And the last building is what was last known as Studio 25. I remember you had asked me about that and, why are we not going after that? And that's one of the things we wanted to include because unfortunately the taxes haven't been paid. Probably every other month we have pieces of the roof that are falling out into the street. So it's something that's going to have to be addressed sooner rather than later. And so that's why also, if you notice that Mr. Simon put the order in that they would be addressed with money towards Brazil and the other properties, just to be sure that we take care of the biggest problem in the room first. Just as a reminder to all of you, you'll recall that maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago, we had an estimate given for the demolition of Brazil and the annex that was $2.5 million. That did not include either asbestos abatement or filling the hole that both of those entities leave. So we anticipate that it would at least be another million to do those 2 components as well.
And do we have estimates for all of the properties that are listed here?
We do not have estimates for all of them, no.
Okay. A question that probably can't be answered now, but just to follow up on something that you said about the property that's on Vermillion Street. Do we have any other commercial properties that we own that we are not maintaining and may have to tear down? Because to me, it's kind of troubling that we've held this property for, well, at least over 10 years, and that we didn't maintain it. And so it's dilapidated to the point that we're tearing it down, but we didn't maintain it.
It was already in very terrible condition, and now it's become an unsafe condition. So it went from bad to worse. And I don't know why that property was purchased. My guess would be to keep it from falling in the hands of people who would misuse it and then, lead to safety hazards. But what I can say is that we've inherited a lot of problems, many that were there before you or I were even born into this city. And now that we know that they're there, it's our job to do everything we can to fix them and address them. And so that's why, knowing that this is an issue, that's why Director Carpenter and the team and I felt like it was important to include that as part of something that we address when we're working downtown. We've also seen Alderman Teague in other places. If we do a number of structures in one area, then a lot of times they give us a discount. And so our hope is that maybe we'd be able to take out several of these simultaneously or in near proximity. Do we own any other commercial structures that we're not taking care of? To answer that question, I can tell you that there's one that I know of that we do own. I'm not fully sure of the state. I know that there were some issues, but not to that extent. The T.H. Snyder building, if you go over from here,
I know where it's at.
okay,
On, by the overpass.
by the overpass, yes, ma'am, that's right. Director, engineer, are there any other major commercial properties you know that we own, that we own?
Not that I.
There's the one on North or on Vermillion Street, north of the old dry cleaner, maybe just north of the Catherine Randolph Theater. That's one we acquired within the last 2 years, and we're in the process. Or is it already down? Is it
Yeah,
down already?
No, but it's, the money's there. For
Right.
310 for that.
We're in the process of going through the steps to get it demolition ready. We acquired. Okay, battery's dead.
But what he's trying to say, Alderman Teague, is yes, it is on the demolition list.
Okay.
And before this year's over, in all likelihood, it'll disappear.
Okay. And my last question is for the properties that are listed here, since obviously some of this has come up long before I became alderman, are there any written reports that can be shared concerning the safety of those properties?
Yes, I mean, if you were to check with our inspection staff can share with you. I mean, for example, most of them have numerous write-ups. Some of them have been condemned not only once, but twice. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. Alderman Brown.
Again, the only statement I have to make, I know we discussed Breezy Tower, some of these other ones. I don't recall recently a lot of discussion on them. And for a couple, I'm not even sure that I was aware that the city owned them. So again, that's why I was having questions about approving the agenda with these on here, because of us having tonight answer these questions for it again to the committee. But again, I guess if you had a reason to put it on here tonight without bringing it to the committee first. So it is what it is. So, but again, I just still think sometimes we do this, and I think we need to start making time to go through the committees and get these through the committees where we can have these discussions and
Absolutely.
and get information on questions that need to be asked, and maybe get information back to us and then bring it to the council.
Sure. Everything that's not emergent, we do just that. And I think you've probably found that I've done my very best to be incredibly transparent to make sure that you all know everything that I do, when I do, and how I do. I only bring things to you not through committee when they're urgent, or usually there's a time constraint. So I understand your concern. Yes, Alderman Teague.
What was the urgency for this? Because you said at the end of each fiscal year, we have to have a certain amount of funds, but we're at the beginning of a fiscal year, correct?
No, ma'am. Our fiscal year began in May. So our fiscal year runs from May 1 to April 30th.
So we're in the middle of a fiscal year.
Yes, ma'am. We're several months in.
Okay, so what is the urgency for this?
We're not in compliance with our ordinance, and we need to come in compliance with our ordinance, number one. Number two, because we have money in the general fund reserve, that's the fund which pays several of our unions.
Okay. It's the union negotiation.
Yes, ma'am. They are attempting to access these funds.
Thanks. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So, yes, Vice Chairman.
Okay. Leave Breezy out of the discussion first. All these properties we have possession of and a right to tear down now, save the EPA stuff.
That we don't have you're right. So the laundromat, we do not. The other one we don't have. There's one other we don't have yet. So that's on the one on Walnut Street, the former Studio 25.
And then Breezy Tower, what kind of court proceedings we're going to have to do on that? Is that a 2-month, 5-month, 10-month? I mean, can they push that off until the next budget year or what?
I think a lot of that depends very much on how the court proceedings and how the judge finds on things. I do not believe that it will take 10 months for us to secure a ruling
Well, I
for
mean,
demolition.
in 10 months, we'll be in a new budget and this money is in limbo then or whatever.
No, it says in the resolution that it will stay there until the money is used for said purposes.
Okay. So you've got some properties that we're talking about allocating money for to tear stuff down. Please don't forget the Paxton Warehouse in your future.
We will not. Thanks, Vice Chairman. Yes, Vice Mayor.
I agree with Alderman Brown that we sometimes rush into things, and it would have been nicer to have little more detail. For example, Studio 25, I wasn't completely aware of. But I can easily vote yes for this tonight because we're really not saying we're going to tear these down now because of this. What we're doing is we're putting the money aside. So when the day comes and the court proceedings are done and we can do it, the money's sitting there waiting because it's going to get more expensive to do these things the longer we can wait. So it's really not, we're not saying we're going to tear all this down starting tomorrow. We're saying that when we get around to being able to do it, the money will be there.
That's correct.
So we're putting $4 million aside?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
It's not in the whereas.
It's in the,
It is there.
yes, it says we're going to change the policy, and in the policy, it's changed to add,
Page
if
32.
if you go to,
Yeah, it's page 32.
I see the 4 million here. It's just-
give me just a second. I'm still getting used to that.
Page 31
It's-
and 38.
I wish we had numbers on our pages.
It says notwithstanding anything to the contrary stated immediately above on a one-time basis only and during fiscal year 21-22 only, prior to the transfer of any said remaining funds to the Infrastructure Development and
That's all.
Program Fund, $4 million shall be transferred to the 310 Reserve Fund and earmarked and encumbered solely for the demolition of the following buildings, and it lists them. And then if you go down, after it finished listing the building, it says the said $4 million shall be carried over from fiscal year to fiscal year until exhausted by the costs and expenses of demolishing one or more of the aforementioned buildings. Yes, Alderman Teague.
So to clarify, we do not currently own all of these properties.
There are two that we do not own.
And then what happens if the money was set aside and the cases don't go the way we anticipate?
Then it says, it says further down here, if any of the said $4 million remains after completing the demolitions of the aforesaid buildings and/or the administration decides not to undertake any one or more of those demolitions, the earmark and encumbrance on the said $4 million or so much of that such sum as remains shall be removed, and those remaining funds shall be returned to the Infrastructure Development and Improvement Program and made available for other projects and works included in it. So they would go back to the road fund. Alderman Teague, did you have any further questions?
No, I think I have.
Vice Chairman?
So that's restricted to only these projects?
That's correct.
Okay.
Any further discussion or debate? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
No.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard, Pertel,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown,
No.
O'Kane,
Just because I want to see some of them down, yes. I don't like the fact that we got hurried into this.
Poor,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
9 yes.
9 yes, the motion carries.
11F is an ordinance amendment to the residency requirements. At this time, I'll make a motion to dispense with the reading and ask for their approval. Is there a second? 11G, I'm sorry.
Second. Whatever I'm doing.
It's been moved and seconded. As you all know, we've discussed a lot over the years, and we've discussed as a council recently the difficulty that we're having getting candidates. I'll tell you very clearly and succinctly, in my ideal world, every person that works for the city of Danville would work in the city of Danville. I mean, every person that works for the city of Danville would live in the city of Danville. I kind of feel like in an ideal world, if our money is good enough for you, then our city ought to be good enough for you too. Unfortunately, I have to tell you, we don't live in an ideal world. Right now, we are competing with tons of other entities that allow lots of flexibility with no residential requirements. A lot of places allow people to telework and work from home. And those are options that we do not offer to people on a regular basis. We have had engineering positions open for a year and a half or 2 years that we've been unable to fill. We've struggled even to fill some of our laborer positions. We have struggled on every position to fill them. So what do? If you've had an eligible population right now, it's within 5 miles, and we're not getting the applicants that we need, then yeah, I think in an unideal world, we have to look at expanding those boundaries. And so somebody said to me, well, Mayor, how did you come up with 45 miles? To me, it was a matter of emergency response time. There are some jobs that we have, for example, we have an emergency sewer bust or a sinkhole where we need people to get here quickly. They need to be able to respond within an hour. Same thing with snow time. Same thing with emergency responders. If we have a huge 4-alarm fire, we need firefighters that need to be able to get here in a reasonable time to cycle out so they can support this. So while this does not apply to unions, this is something that I would like to offer and have, with your blessing, offered to the unions. And they are interested in increasing the mileage. They're not as excited about the fee, but they are interested in increasing the mileage. I don't like it at all, but I made an oath to do what was in the best interest of the city and the citizens. And I feel like having a larger pool of people who are dedicated and who have the skills that we need to best serve our citizens and to move our community forward is what we have to do. And so that's why I somewhat grudgingly recommend to you that we expend our residency to 45 miles. Questions or comments? Vice Chairman Pickering.
Mayor, I will also add to that if we look, our population has diminished over the years. So we don't have that pool of qualified people, as the mayor said. And also the average age of our population has gone down. Has gone up. They're older now. So we have to think about that too. And if we look at the people that have applied and tried out for the fire department, the police department, have come to the work affairs that they have, job fair at the public works, it's dwindling. So this is something I think we really need to do.
Other discussion or debate? Yes, Vice Chairman.
This, again, I wish we'd had a committee and discussion and stuff, and so that the public could get back to the committee people, the aldermen, and let them know what they feel. To me, this ought to be tabled until we hear something from our constituents, hear something from the other people, maybe even from the city workers, how workable this is. It's basically, we got it Friday night and we're voting on it Tuesday. It's just too soon. No actual discussion on it except for this short period of time for us to have a discussion.
Well, we discussed the 45 miles extensively, even in closed session, and you all said that you supported it. It was pretty unanimous, and that it was something that I could offer to the union personnel and union contracts. And so I thought that was something that we could offer to all of our employees. And because we're in union contracts,
Was I there?
yes.
When was that
I don't
discussion?
remember this, Mayor.
In committee discussions and in closed session, we've discussed it.
We discussed 45 miles?
Yes.
Probably a year ago.
It may have.
He said a year ago. I wasn't here, so, okay. I wanted to be, that's why I asked when. Because
it may have been just before you all came on board, but I can tell you, I know I discussed it with everyone in relationship to contracts, and if that's something that we would be reasonable to offer to the to the union personnel.
But there are, 6 new aldermen since last year? So close to
I
half?
could swear, I'm going to go back and look because I'm pretty sure that we have discussed it since you all have been here, but I could be wrong.
No, we discussed the thing we just voted on, which is the change to, from commander to lieutenant, the restructuring. But
I'm
I
not
know I
saying
would have
recently.
remembered her hearing 45 miles, because that's the only time we've been in closed session since we've been here.
That's not the only time we've been in closed session.
I believe that conversation was prior to the new alderman.
New
I was
aldermans.
part of that conversation and they were not,
Okay,
as I recall.
okay. But I know that we have been in closed session one other time, since you guys have been here. At any rate, it's something that we're discussing with the unions right now. I don't want to offer to the union something that we're not going to offer to our non-union personnel. Director Carpenter?
I'd just like to remind the council, I know some of you weren't here when it occurred, but we do have a union contract with Local 538, the inspectors, not code enforcement, but the actual building inspectors, and their residency requirement is 45 miles.
And that's the other thing, is I was also trying to match what we had in place with our other unions. What I would say to you is this is something that I feel is important if we're going to get the kind of criteria, the qualified candidates that we need. We just lost a great city electrician, somebody who's perfectly capable because he lives just shy of 1 mile outside of the city outside of that 5 mile limit. We've lost at least one engineer for sure that I know of that's also very qualified. And so my question is, how long can our staff, we have 2 engineers when we had 5 engineers, and maybe as many as 6 engineers 4 or 5 years ago. They're killing themselves for us. And so I'm trying to find support for them, but also to make sure that whatever we do matches what we offer to the union people as well, on the principle of fairness. The one thing that I would say that I've toyed with a lot is whether or not we charge a $600 fee. I'll be honest, I've gone back and forth on it. This was something that was implemented before I came, a fee. So the way it works right now is if you live outside of the city of Danville, but within 5 miles of the city limits, you have to pay a fee. It varies for union and non-union people. It's very different. The idea, from my understanding from the past, was that if people live outside of the union, outside of the community, they are not then paying property taxes. So this fee was assessed kind of to capture some of the property taxes that they would have lost. Now, one thing I can tell to you is that at first it's something that I thought I liked quite a bit, but in talking to staff and potential staff, they see it as something that's very punitive. And I think it's something that's been somewhat even discouraging people from applying is, look, for example, we have 2 people that live on family farms. They're 3rd and a 4th generation family farmer. Why should they have to pay to live on their family farm as long as they're here every day, doing all the things that they are required to do in their contract? So to me, that's the one thing that I would even consider striking, is the fee, so that there would not be a fee for those who lived up to 45 miles outside of the city. I'll be honest, again, I think it's one of those things that I don't love or even like, but I think that it would be something that we might want to consider for the best interest of the city and the people that we serve. Does anyone have any thoughts on the fee and whether or not you feel we should charge folks a fee to live outside of the city within the miles? Yes, Alderman.
No, go ahead, because I was going to make a motion.
Alderman Patel.
Yeah, I don't agree with the fee personally. Like you said, I feel like it will discourage rather than encourage those that live outside of the city limits to apply and take on those positions that we so desperately do need to fill.
Does anyone have Vice Chairman Pickering?
I would just like to make an amendment, make a motion to amend 11G and strike out the $600 fee.
Is there a second?
I second.
Give me just 1 second. If we were to do that, I would need our corporation counsel to strike references to that fee. That's something that we could do pretty easily. Thanks, Chairman. I tell you, yes, sir.
I think if
and I'm not going to dictate what the motion says, but, whether the second would accept a change to the motion. But I would suggest striking of the section on the fee. And then what would happen is the motion would also indicate, and any references within the remaining part of the ordinance that references that, then I will edit it and the mayor will sign it and it will be attested by our city clerk. I think if it's done that way, in a generic, the second part that's question was raised, do that generically, I think that would work. I think the record would be clear.
Vice Chairman, do you accept the friendly
Yes.
amendment?
Yes.
And
That's what he said.
Alderman Patel, do you
Yes.
second it? Okay. We have an amendment before us that would strike the clause requiring those who chose to live outside of the city limits, but within 45 miles of the city limits, striking that fee and any reference to the fee. It's been moved and seconded. Vice Mayor Iverson.
I don't especially like the fee either, but I think it's, what I've had in discussions with the public, I think they appreciate that fee because they feel that people are working for the city, but they're not paying city property taxes at all. And I think this is sort of something they thought, well, at least they have to pay something towards the property taxes, towards the city, which they're working for. And I think the fee is actually probably well-liked in the community. I'm sure the staff may not, but again, I don't think it's a deal breaker. I think I'm for the 45 miles, but I think we'd be better off keeping the fee.
Are there, Alderman Teague?
The union employees who have the 45-mile clearance now, do they have a fee?
They do not have a fee. However, there are multiple unions that do have a fee, Alderman Teague. Clerical and Public Works do pay a fee right now. The fee that Public Works pay is outrageous. It's based on some formula, and we have some men and women who are paying as much as $1,500 to live a half a mile, or actually one person is only 1 or 2 blocks outside of the city of Danville. So other unions do pay that, and my goal has always been equity as much as possible, to treat everyone as equally as we can across departments, across divisions, to get rid of this, kind of delineation and war of union versus non-union. So whatever we do, all I would ask is that it be the same, that we treat everyone the same, and we work towards that, to have everyone to have the same thing. Yes, Vice Chairman.
I would say the only thing to Mr. or Alderman Iverson's comment is that the people will generally shop here, so they are paying taxes in Danville somewhat.
Perhaps.
Any further discussion or debate on the amendment?
Okay, make sure that I have this clear.
Yes, ma'am.
You said that so union and non-union, all the unions and all non-unions will go by this, or some do and some don't. What is the final say on this?
Right now, Alderman Brown, it's different for everyone. What I'm saying is I would like whatever we decide to be tonight to be the same for everyone, including the unions. I would like us to make them all the same. I can tell you right now that if I were to go to the unions and say, I want to increase your residency to 45 miles and we're not going to charge you anything, every one of them would vote for it tomorrow.
But we're not voting on that.
No.
Only thing we're voting on is the non-union people, right?
That's correct. Right now, it's just the non-union, and the amendment is simply to eliminate the charge of a fee.
And is there urgency for this particular item?
Because we're in the midst of union negotiations, I do think we could sign 1 or 2 within the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I hope that at least one I could bring to you to council I hope at least one that I could bring to you council on the 19th, and if not, the 1st in November. So what I wanted to do was set the stage that whatever we're offering to our non-union employees is what we're offering to our union employees.
I still think.
So Any further discussion or debate on the amendment? It's okay, just as a reminder, the amendment is to strike the fee for the residency fee. Yes, ma'am.
So, and clarification, this only applies to, is this only applicable to non-union employees?
That is correct. Yes, ma'am. Yes, Council Simon.
What would be applicable to union employees would be what would be negotiated in collective bargaining.
Right, understood. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that it was clear to everybody that, because the urgency of this is we're in union negotiations right now. And so we're wanting to do this now because of the union negotiation. This particular item has a bearing on the union negotiation, but it is not directly related to the union negotiating.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. That's correct. All right, so if you voting yes would say that you want to remove the fee and any reference to the fee from the ordinance. Voting no would say that you do not wish to remove the fee. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Teague,
I'm sorry, can you clarify what we're voting on again?
Right now, Alderman, you're only voting on the amendment, which is to strike the fee from the language and any reference to the fee, meaning they would not be charged to live within 45 miles of the corporate city limits.
So yes is,
Yes is to eliminate the fee, so there would be
Okay.
no fee.
thank you,
No means we would leave the fee.
thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
thank you. Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Bashard, Patel,
Yes.
Iverson,
No.
Brown,
No.
O'Kane,
No.
Poor,
No.
Streebing, Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
How many do we have now?
Can you give us?
6.
6
yes.
yes.
That's what we have so far.
Yes.
So that'd be 7 yes.
7 yes, I will cast the affirming eighth vote to support removing the fee from the ordinance.
I'd like to state, though, I concur with Alderman O'Kane that, to be quite honest, I don't feel comfortable voting one way or another on this at all tonight because I'd like to have the opportunity to get feedback from the people that I represent.
Man.
Absolutely.
Had
The
that.
agenda has been in the public for 5 days, but I understand your point. Would you?
I make a
would you like
motion
to
that it
make
be tabled
Until when, Alderman Teague?
until the,
October 19th would be the next meeting in November. What's the first meeting in November? The first Tuesday in November, anyone?
November 2nd.
November 2nd.
I make a motion that it be tabled till October 19th, to the next full council meeting from October 19th.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Alderman Teague and seconded by Alderman Brown. Any discussion or debate on the amendment?
Mayor, would that be postponed or tabled?
Postponed.
She need to change her, change her motion, because there's a
Pardon?
difference.
Can you clarify the difference between a postponement versus tabling?
Postponement does not have any date to bring it up. Frankly, a tabling doesn't either. And I believe the motion was to table. But there's a more serious question. There's been a vote all the way around.
Already.
And I guess it's either with, let's include your vote, it's 8-3, or it's 7-3
That was for the amendment
for the amendment, right?
only. So now that we have the amended ordinance before us.
All right,
and they're
wasn't
voting
clear.
on tabling the amended
They're
ordinance.
looking, okay.
So council, tabling is the appropriate term, or is it?
It could be tabled, but it's going to have to sooner or later be brought up.
Absolutely.
Probably the better motion would be, again, recommendation is to either table it or postpone it to a date specific.
That's what they've done, is that they've tabled it to a date specific, is that? Yeah, she gave October
Okay,
19th.
okay, I didn't hear the October 19th, then she's fine.
It's been moved and seconded to table it until October 19th. Is there any, before we go on, I want to clarify, is generally through straw poll, are we on board with offering the other unions whatever we offer the non-union people?
I think we need to still go through this, Mayor. I do, in order for all of us to get, like you said, be fair, to get with our constituents.
Right.
Right now, there's some things I would vote yes, some I would vote no, until we can go through, digest this and see where we're at, and we've said October 19th and then come back instead of trying to still take a poll on this now.
No, Alderman Brown, my only poll is, do you want the requirements to be the same for union and
I
non-union
still
people?
think we need to leave all that alone.
Okay.
And likewise, when we have discussion in closed session, there's nothing binding to that at all, and you can't bring that in here as anything close to binding in putting it together for something.
But what else am I supposed to use besides the advisement that you give me, Vice Chairman? Respectfully.
Open forum.
We don't discuss contracts in open forum.
No, but that wasn't some of this stuff wasn't contracts.
Yeah, it was. Anyways, you have before you a motion to table this until the October 19th meeting. Voting yes means that we will bring it back for a vote and discussion at that time. Voting no means you wish to vote on the matter this evening. Yes.
Do we need a committee before then?
What do we need? I don't
know.
understand what we need.
Okay. That's just a question. The question before the vote.
You would be having a committee meeting before the full council, correct?
But not the committee that actually talks
but not
about
the
this
com-
issue,
Yeah.
because it's public works and not public services.
Public Works is part of it. but- okay.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, there's a committee
Right.
before this meeting. It's just not the one that would normally talk about this.
And that's when a lot of discussion is done, is in committees. But that's the end of my question.
Okay, thanks, Vice Chairman. Any further questions? All right, voting yes, again, you wish to wait to vote on it until October 19th. Voting no means you wish to vote on it today. Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Alderman Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard, Patel,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Strebing, Pickering,
No,
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
10 yes.
10 yes, the motion is tabled until October 19th. Madam Chairman, do you have any items of information for us?
no, I do not. Mayor, that concludes our public safety report.
Thank you very much. At this time, we'll receive our Public Works Committee report. Chairman Poor.
Thank you, Mayor. We will meet next Tuesday, 6 o'clock in these chambers.
Thank you, Chairman. Are there any items of information for the good of the cause? Any items of information for the good of the cause? We do not have any need for closed session, so having satisfied the agenda, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or debate? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Have a great week, everyone. Be safe, get vaccinated.
Has anybody heard anything
I just took a
on
picture.
Moderna?
Like me.
Oh, they said they're
supposed to be
still waiting
working
on
on it.
that.
The booster, and I think Johnson Johnson's working on
Well,
theirs.
Johnson said they're ready to.
This thing keeps coming apart. Every time I do that.
Something. There we go. Yeah.